Hello and welcome back to the Pauper Premier League. Welcome back to the Pauper Premier League. It's getting late for me, but we'll power through. I'm Alex Olma. I'm here with Kendra Smith, and we are about to watch basically a classic matchup. We are going to watch some dueling wizards on Blue Magic versus Red Magic. We have Emma Partlow on Delver versus Chris Van Meter on Burn. Kendra, what do you think about this matchup?
I think it's kind of anybody's game here, to be honest. Emma has a big slew of counterspells to match Chris's burn spells. And so it really could go any direction, in my opinion.
Yeah. I just had Chris in the booth with me, and he felt like he was advantaged on the play, but on the draw, he felt like it was a little more of a toss-up. But he thinks that his access to the 4 copies of Red Elemental Blast trump Emma's access to 2 copies of Hydroblast.
Right, and that definitely seems to make sense to me. Because the counterspells are really where you want to be here. And wow, looks like we're already ready to go here. So we're going to jump right into it, everybody. Let's go.
So it looks like Emma's on the plains leading off with a Preordain, but it looks like she also took a mulligan down to 6. Chris, on the other hand, has set up really well with 2 mountains. Looks like 2 copies of Riftbolt, Skewer the Critics, Chain Lightning, and Needle Drop. And Emma is without a counterspell, so this one looks like it could be over quick, folks. Emma draws another island off of Preordain. Kendra, so you're going to lead on suspending Riftbolt, but how do you sequence the rest of your burn spells? Do you want to go for Skewer or do you want to go for Needle Drop?
So if you're exiling a Riftbolt, I think at that point, assuming the Riftbolt resolves here, then I would probably try and go for the Skewer into Needle Drop. Well, actually, no, I think I would probably Needle Drop first and then see what we got after that. A Skewer would be really good here.
Well, it looks like what ended up happening is that Chris ripped Thermo-Alchemist and Emma's going to have to deprive that, what is that? You make that play, right?
So actually, I think there is actually an arguably like a case for holding up your mana and snapping it.
Fair.
Yeah. Because then you can snap it, bounce it back, play a creature if you draw your land, and otherwise then you tempo them out enough to counter the Thermo-Alchemist and just deprive them of their mana and the ability to go for the burn spells.
Well, meanwhile, Chris spends a Chain Lightning on Delver so he can get down Ghitu Lavarunner, attack for 2, put Emma down to 15, then looks like suspending Riftbolt.
Yeah.
Emma, missing another land drop, has a Delver of Secrets, has Mutagenic Growth in hand, but no counters, so looks like Chris is going to be able to go for 7 at the very least this turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. And there's a chance that there may be something coming at that Delver, but I don't think it's likely. And we have Curse of the Pierce Heart, too. That's going to put in for some work.
Chris does attack in, not knowing about the Mutagenic Growth. I think Emma, you snap off this block, right?
Absolutely.
Emma does not. Maybe she's valuing the life too much. Chris then goes for the Needle Drop into Curse of the Pierced Heart. So now Emma is on a 9-turn clock at least. Curse is going to deal 1 damage to her on every upkeep. Every one of her upkeeps, I should say.
Yeah. So here's why you would want to actually probably block there. Now, again, here's another factor we're not taking into consideration here as well. We have perfect information.
Sure.
Emma does not. Chris does not. So what really Emma could have done there was probably just blocked, use the Mutagenic Growth. If you block successfully, then you take 2 damage, but you also kill their creature. And so you're taking 2 damage no matter what. But if CVM had an actual lightning bolt in hand, then all Chris would need to do would just be bolt the Delver before it gets pumped with the Mutagenic Growth. Or even afterwards, you can maybe have like a Needle Drop or something like that. So
I think this is the first time Emma's actually had a chance to attack with a flip Delver of Secrets all night.
Yeah.
She does find the third land rather. So she is set up to potentially snap back whatever happens. But Chris going for
Chris just has it. Chris has it all because he's got the second Lavarunner. So even if there is a snap, it's just over.
Yeah. And maybe preserving the life total with that Mutagenic Growth, not blocking. But yeah, it looks like. I mean, if you're Chris, you go for it here. You push through those 3 damage. Okay. So let's see if he does it.
What's the old statement? Make them have it.
And he's making her have it. Is he? Is there any merit to replaying the Lavarunner here? Trying to draw out a counterspell?
No. I see what he's trying to do here. So, okay, so he is going to. Because here's the thing. If you hold up next turn, you're definitely getting in for a point of damage off of this Curse of the Pierce Heart.
Yeah.
So he could have tried to go in for the kill, but now he also gets the opportunity to play a little more conservatively.
Yeah, well, Emma is going to have to leave back 2 blockers. Not going to matter because Chris has the Burn Spell in hand. Daze is banned. It's not going to come down. And this game, we're going to game 2.
Yep, absolutely.
So what do you think our competitors are bringing in here?
All right, let me get our list here. For those of you following along at home, I got your deck list right here. I'll drop them right in chat, and you can go peruse them, browse them, follow along, check it out. Emma's probably going to bring in, first off, the Negate, and obviously the 2 Hydroblast. These seem like very obvious choices. They just really do it all against Chris's deck.
Yeah.
The other thing that she might consider, maybe, I think it's a little bit more fringe in this matchup compared to going up against Brian's mono blacklist. But there is a chance that she might even bring in Sunken City against the Electrickeries. Because that's pretty much your one way to ensure that your fairies just don't get hit by that. And it's not like Chris's creatures get pumped as well. So it's a good choice there. But I don't think I would bring in both. I might just consider just the one because Emma also has a lot of counter magic. So she has plenty of ways that she can just deal with the Electrickery by itself.
Yeah, what do you think? How have those Sunken Cities been this evening? Because, Emma's signed them in a few times. They've been nice. They haven't looked exactly impressive.
Yeah, I think they were really pretty cool against Brian when it was, going up against Combage Witches and such. But it's definitely, again, she had to keep maintaining it, which was definitely caused some issues with some of those games. So it's really a bit hard to say. But I think for this specific meta, it was a reasonable play, reasonable play to kind of go with them. But overall, I don't think it's what this deck should be playing.
So it looks like Chris mulligan to 6, Emma mulligan to 6. I think Chris looks like he might be considering going to 5, or is he going to keep that?
Yeah, looks like he kept it, shipped back that Fireblast. Because if he gets to 2 mana, he's in the driver's seat.
I don't know.
So it looks.
Emma has 2 islands. Led on Faerie Miscreant has Hydroblast, Ponder, Spellstutter Sprite in hand. Chris starts by suspending Riftbolt. Emma draws a Counterspell. So Emma has her defenses pretty well set up.
Yeah, I think she's definitely in the driver's seat right now.
I mean, a lot depends on what she does against this Riftbolt. If she lets it resolve, that's going to determine a lot about how the next how this turn plays out, and how she's able to sequence her defensive measures against Chris's lightning bolts.
Right, and she let it through. And there's Chris's Electrickery.
Yeah, but Chris missed his second land drop, so he's going for Skewer the Critics, which is going to be met with a. What would you use here, Hydroblast or Counterspell?
I think I would use Counterspell because it's a little more efficient with the mana.
Emma's opting for the Hydroblast. But yeah, Chris being choked on mana is going to matter here.
Emma
untaps, gets Island. I'm guessing she's going for the Ponder. Ponder reveals. Or rather, Ponder will put what interior hand looks like.
Yeah, we can't really tell here.
Yeah.
Just the way our screen looks.
I'm guessing she shuffled because I'm guessing she didn't want to draw that island.
Mm-hmm.
How many? So, Emma has had matches where she has more or less had to play out all the lands in her hand. You have to play out lands against Chittering Rats. You have to play out lands to try and keep up action against the Astro Jeskai deck. How many lands do you really want to have as the Delver deck?
In play? Well, you definitely want at least 4 because that holds up 2 counter magics. In one form or another.
Chris spent last turn suspending a Rift Bolt, which is about to come off this turn, but he hasn't found a second land. Emma looks like she's trying to Spellstutter Sprite this, which is not going to work because it costs 3. Also, the spell's not on the stack yet.
Yeah.
I think she's jumping the gun a little bit.
Unfortunately.
So do you know what deck Emma tends to play in Modern?
I do not off the top of my head.
Okay.
But I know she does play actively. Obviously, she writes a lot for it, produces a lot of content for the format. Mm-hmm. And again, she does play Pauper in her home front, but she is a little more inclined to play decks like Bogles usually.
Sure.
So that's kind of her thing. And this was a case of her, she wanted to shake things up a little bit and try something a little different and bring something a little less familiar to the table.
So what it looks like happened is that Chris targeted the Spellstutter Sprite with the Rift Bolt, didn't draw another land. Now Emma's going to be able to get out a Ninja of the Deep Hours and start, drawing cards. She isn't applying a ton of pressure to Chris's life total, but
that's
it looks
a double miscreant. That's pretty good.
That is a double miscreant, so she looks like she's going to get at least 1 card off of this.
And it's a Faerie Seer. So she's going to play the Faerie Seer, but if Chris draws a second land, then he's going to blow Emma out.
Is it really a blowout, though? Because she will still have the Ninja of the Deep Hours.
Yep, she sure will.
That really matters. So I think Chris has to point the Lightning Bolt at Ninja here, right?
Yep, that's exactly where it went. A little hard to tell. Sometimes these arrows with Magic Online, they show up on what we need to, and then sometimes they don't. So it was definitely a case. Now we're looking at a potential actual full scale blowout if Chris sees a second land.
Nope, it's the exact opposite of a second land in Fireblast. So
yeah.
Excuse me. It looks like Chris used the Red Elemental Blast on Delver, which is helping to keep the clock low. But there's the Sunken City.
Yeah, Sunken City is going to put a serious clock.
Now it's a 2-turn clock.
And it puts all of her creatures out of Electrickery range too. So Chris can't even Electrickery them out of. So I think at this point that's going to do it.
This game's over. Yeah.
And we go to game 3. So it Burn versus Mono Blue Delver. What did you think of that match, Alex?
Of course, it caught me around. I was coughing. I thought it really came down. It was unfortunate that Chris never got to that second land. I think that really kind of constrained him. I think that Emma was able to apply the pressure. But being on the play really does favor Chris here because he's able to, kind of dictate the pace of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like, not many sideboard changes. So we're getting ready to go back to the match.
Yeah.
With Chris on the play. So what do you think? What do you think? If Chris had drawn the second land earlier, do you think he stood a much better chance? It looks like he has 2 lands in his opener to Emma's 1, but Emma does have Preordain.
Yes.
Emma is well set up. Chris is well set up this game with Lava Spike, Lightning Bolt, Double Skewer the Critics, and Thermo-Alchemist.
And it looks like they both kept their 7. So Emma does stand a pretty good shot at, and especially as she now drew a Faerie Seer, so even if she misses on this Preordain, well, she's going for the Faerie Seer first, it looks like. Even if she misses here, she does have a second shot with another scry ability. So she is still pretty decently well set up here. And if need be, because Chris is going here for this Thermo-Alchemist, but what Emma can do is Emma can snap it and then end up countering it when it tries to hit the battlefield again.
More than that, Chris passed up the chance to Lightning Bolt end of turn, so he's really on this Thermo-Alchemist plan. That being said, he does have a lot of burn in hand. Emma, Chris is going for the main phase. This is his main phase. Emma is not going for snap.
Right. So I'm very interested to see how
Chris trying to sequence his plays. So it looks like he's going for Skewer first. Untapping the Alchemist. Now, what do you do here if you're Emma? Do you counter or do you try to snap back the Alchemist?
So I think at this point, okay, she's going to snap back now. And I think she didn't quite realize what her window was there, that she was going to be, risking that much damage and whatnot. What I think I might have done at that point, because we had kind of already gone that far, I might have tried to wait for like another bolt to kind of come in or something. And so that it would have actually prevented Chris from getting the other Thermo-Alchemist. But that also could be a wrong play, because then Chris still does get to untap.
Yeah, Chris is going for the Lightning Bolt here, which means another 4 or 5 damage guaranteed. And then, so that kind of prices him out of casting Thermo-Alchemist this turn, but it looks like he might go for, maybe another Skewer, maybe a Lava Spike. Sets himself up decently well for next turn, do you think?
Yes. And if I'm Emma here, I would definitely be throwing some counter magic at a burn spell right about now.
Emma's down to 12. And yeah, it looks like she's going to counter the second Skewer the Critics, because she does have another counter spell and the Deprive in hand.
Right.
So
Emma she
draws an island. That's really good.
So now the question is, if you're Emma, what do you do? Do you go for the Faerie Miscreant or the Preordain?
We're about to find out. Emma looks like she is going for the Preordain. Looks like do you think she's playing around Electrickery this early in the game?
That's definitely a possibility. The other thing is she may realize that a Faerie Miscreant and a Faerie Seer by themselves, it's not really doing a whole lot for her. So it doesn't apply quite as much pressure against all the stuff that CVM is doing. So she might instead be looking for something that does actually apply a little bit more pressure than what she's looking at currently.
Emma finds another snap. Chris leads off with Lava Spike. So now Chris has the option of going Thermo-Alchemist or Ghitu Lavarunner. He's going for the Alchemist, which is going to get countered. But what's happening here is that Chris looks like he's taxing a lot of Emma's counters and leaving him with, action in hand. Emma used Deprive, so she's going to be able to... she can't play Miscreant this turn and then draw a card. But she
playing it conservatively. Now it looks like she missed an attack here and didn't go in for a point of damage. Not sure if she's playing around something like the Lava Runner here or what, but definitely
looks like her plan was to double block Lava Runner, which, it's a play. What do you think about that play?
It's definitely... So she didn't actually double block here. I don't know about that. But I think it still feels okay to me here.
Chris is not playing into Spellstutter Sprite. He is letting Emma untap. Emma draws Ponder. So I think, Emma's going for the second Miscreant, so she'll be able to draw a card, which is Spellstutter Sprite. which is very good.
It is and it isn't. It totally depends on how. Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Looks like
she's going for a single block instead of a
Chris
double.
draws another Lavarunner.
Yeah, this hurts.
Yeah, there was no way to snap one Lavarunner back. So no matter what, she was facing at least one Lavarunner. But here it looks like Emma is going to
block, maybe snap. Nope, just going in on that block there.
So Chris still playing around Spellstutter Sprite. Emma draws Vapor Snag, which could buy her some time in combat. But cast Ponder. I wonder, is she looking for an island so she can, on the next attack, go snap, Vapor Snag, Counterspell up?
Probably, yeah.
Instead finds a Spellstutter Sprite.
Right.
So the window is closing pretty quickly here for Emma, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. Especially with these double lava spikes.
I'm not sure Emma can get out of this at this point. Looks like she took a line and missed her window. Meanwhile, she's going down to 5 potentially, unless she decides to snap here. Okay, she is going for the snap. So Emma comes from Modern, and I honestly don't play a ton of Modern. I've played one game of Modern with my friends, and this is how long ago I played Modern, with my friend's Birthing Pod deck. So how much is patience rewarded in Modern as compared to Pauper?
I'd say it depends on the deck, but a lot of decks are meant to just jam, and go like as fast as they can. And in fact, a lot of times they don't even really, pay that much attention to what their opponent is doing. They don't really go in so much, so heavily on that interaction play.
So Emma can block this turn, but it's not going to matter. Chris drew the Red Elemental Blast, has enough burn in hand to deal the final points of damage. Emma could block both, but it's not going to happen. Looks like she's going to flash out both. Maybe thinking she's going to go to stay at 7. What's going to happen, it looks like Chris is going to Red Elemental Blast one of these fairies, which will put Emma down to 5, and the double lava spikes are going to end it.
Yep, and that's all she wrote.
So Emma is going to join Evan Irwin in the 0-3 bracket, effectively eliminated from playoff contention. Meanwhile, Chris moves to 1-1, and it's going to be up to him to keep it at a scrum with... Sorry, Chris is going to move to 2-0.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a battle to go 3-0. So at the end of this, we're going to have a 3-0 player who will be in first place going into the back half of our season. Right now, there are 5 players tied for 2-1. Brian DeMars, you, and Joseph Verani are all at 1-2.
Yep.
But meanwhile, myself, Andreas Peterson, Michael Bunda, Ricardo Montagna, and Brian Koval at 2-1. We're going to be joined by either Chris Van Meter or Adam Yurchik, and we're going to have our first 3-0 player, and that person only needs to get 1 win in the back half of the season to qualify for the playoffs.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So... very excited to see this match.
Yeah, we're going to be back in the booth, and we're going to be talking about Burn versus Astro Jeskai. But just looking at this, I'm putting my money on the beard. What about you?
Yeah, I think CVM here definitely has quite a fast clock here. And especially for game 1. Game 2, when Adam gets the possibilities of Lone Missionary or whatever, he stands a much better shot, but it's definitely very much, I think, in CVM's favor here, especially if he's on the play.
Yeah, well, we're going to find out in just a few minutes. In the meanwhile, we're going to take a commercial break. And when we get back, we're going to the last match of the night, which is Chris Van Meter on Burn versus Adam Yurchik on Astro Jeskai. We'll see you in just a few minutes.